Yo, what is going on, Just Hoop Talk Nation? You're tuned into another episode of Just Hoop Talk with Justin Henry, Will Thompson, and today we have hip-hop artist A.T., the one who did our intro here. He's going to talk a little bit about what's going on this early season, a little bit about the Chicago Bulls, his favorite team, and maybe get a little other things out of A.T., so stay tuned.
You are now tuned in to the next best thing. Justin Henry, Will Thompson.
Yeah,
Let's go.
y'all can talk that talk, but this is just hoop talk. Updates on the news, analysis who's who gon' win, who gon' lose. Is it true? Is it true? This is just hoop talk. This is just hoop talk. Ball.
All right, guys. A.T., my man. How you doing, man? How you living?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Glad to be back on the show.
Yes, sir.
I see everything's been going well for you guys. Will, how you doing, man?
Good,
Good
man.
to see you, man. Glad to be back.
Sir.
Yes, sir,
Yes, sir.
man. It's good. We've been getting a lot of love on that intro track, man. You laced it. Everybody loves it.
Yeah, man. I've been getting some feedback from it as well, too, and I've appreciated all the feedback. And, you know, whenever I get a chance to talk hoops, you know, and mix music, it always ends up going well. So I appreciate you guys having me do it for you guys.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. Wouldn't trust a whole lot of people with it, but you killed it, man. And, you know, one of the things that obviously when you recorded it was like, man, you know who? And we started talking last time. You mentioned the Chicago Bulls were your team, man. We don't talk a lot about them on this show, man. What are your thoughts on them early on this season?
I'm not mad at it. I know the first three games, we took L's the first three games, and you know everybody was ready to jump down Billy Donovan's throat and the whole 9 yards. But it's like, you guys got to understand, we have a young nucleus. You know, that young backcourt with Kobe White and Zach Lavine. Zach Lavine has proven to be one of the best, I say, top three shooting guards in this league in this first 11 or 12 games. And you know, even in the last three games, you know, we took the loss to the Kings. That was a rough one, but it's one of those things that defensively we got to figure out a way to get stops in the second and third quarter, because we don't have a problem scoring. This is a problem getting stops. So it's those young guys figuring that out. But the Kings game was tough, and then the Lakers game, even though we lost, that's a game that you don't expect us to even be in. Down the stretch, we put some pressure on them to make them make some plays. And then against the Clippers, you know, last night, you know, Zach Lavine with 45 and 10 threes and just continuing to do what he's been doing. So even though we've lost three straight, you know, I feel like we're better than we were last year. And we know how to win a little bit better. We just got to figure out a way to get some stops in key moments, and it'll put us in a better position. But overall, I'm not upset with what I've seen to start.
Yeah, man, the pieces are there. You can see it. I'm excited to see Lauri Markkanen get back too. I really think that's going to be a big key for them, man. I know he's been out with COVID for a while. Hopefully he'll be back soon, and it'll be good to just see the whole squad there, see it all come together. They got a nice rookie too. I know, Justin, you know a little bit about the rookie, right?
Yeah, Patrick Williams, man. Boy, he looks like he's going to be a problem, hey?
Yeah, and the thing I like about him is he's already like league ready. You know, you can tell he's already league ready. He plays at a good pace. He's not afraid of the moment. He's hit some big shots for us in some games, and he's aggressive. So, you know, for us to have that young core doing what it's doing without Markkanen, when Markkanen gets back, I think it'll start coming together and clicking a little bit more, because you're missing 18 and 10 every night from that guy.
Dude,
so.
and when you got a player like Patrick Williams, you got a player like LeBron who's willing to go out of his way to be like, yo, this kid's gonna be a problem. Look at the hand size, and he knows his voice. So when he says something like that, he's meaning there's an impact. There's a reason why he's saying that, or there's just some legitimacy behind it. So you know this Patrick Williams kid's gonna be special, man. I can't wait to see what Billy Donovan does with him over the long term. And I want to ask something about that, because you see the way that Zach Lavine is playing this year, man. He's playing out of his mind, and he's scoring the ball at will. What do you think that changes? You think that's Billy Donovan? You think that's just him maturing as a player? Like, what are your thoughts on Zach Lavine's growth this year?
Well, I think Zach started taking this mindset on at the start of last year. I think he's a player that's unique in the fact that he understood that, hey, we're not going to be a team that's going to win a lot of games, but I know that if I'm going to be a part of something, that I got to kind of go through that. You know, he kind of went through it a little bit when he was in Minnesota, but he was younger, so it wasn't really his time to deal with that. Now that he's in this position, I don't think he's really willing to give up the spot that he's got and the marquee name that he's building for himself in Chicago. And not only that, but his opportunity to go at records that Jordan has. You know, he's the first player since Jordan to score 115 points over a 3-game time frame, which he's done the last 3 games. And he's, you know, those are things that you just don't see from guys from that franchise. So,
yeah,
you know, he has a chance to solidify himself within the Bulls franchise as one of the greats. And I think he takes that serious, and I think he sees that we have a good young team around him. And guys are talking about, oh, we're wasting his time and wasting his talent. But it's like, hey, man, give us some time with this coach and this new GM and this new team that we've got. He's only 25 years old. The kid's been in the league 6 years, 7 years. He's only 25, but he's coming into his own. And it's scary, man. I mean, he had 10 threes yesterday.
That's crazy,
It was
man.
effortless. Effortless threes, effortless jumpers off step backs, drives to the lane. He knows when to give the ball up a little bit better now than last year. But there's still times where he's like, I got to go get it myself. And I'm not mad at it, man. So
well,
I think
you talk
he's
about
grown a lot.
like him and Kobe White, and it's like, and Wendell Carter, like this nucleus is really young. And
Really
I think
young.
Billy Donovan knows how to coach young players. We saw it even with OKC, how they made that push last year when they got Chris Paul. But it's like, I think that this nucleus is a really good, it's underrated. A lot of people aren't talking about the Bulls, and a lot of people aren't talking about their youth and what they have. And obviously, I mean, we did our season rankings not too long ago, if you check the vid, and we had them like at the bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that the core is there.
Yeah, the core is there. And, you know, it's just about them figuring out a way to win games. And I'm glad that we got Billy Donovan in a new GM because, you know, under the old regime with Paxson and Boylan, it was like there was no direction as far as what was going on. And, you know, if you would have kept that, you know, organizational pull going on, you probably would have lost young guys like Carter and Morgan and then Lavine really would have left. So I think it was a really smart move on the Bulls' part to get those guys out of town, bring in a new regime to kind of bring in some fresh energy. And I think with Billy Donovan and Lavine, he's like, look, man, you go get it. You know, I coached Russell Westbrook. I coached Paul George. I coached these guys that know how to go get it. You just go get yours and do what you have to do. And everybody else around you is going to have to come together and figure it out around you. But I like where we're at, though. We could be 0-11. I'm glad that we're not.
Yeah.
But that's a good point, man. And, you know, and it's tough too because we didn't really have a whole offseason. There was no preseason. Yeah. Like these guys just jumped right into it. Billy Donovan, obviously, it's tough when you bring a new team. They're young, installing a new offense, and we're noticing a lot of different thoughts. You know, a lot of different changes here with this shortened season, with the shortened preseason, and just getting into the season. And now we're even seeing a lot of the COVID stuff come up. What's your thoughts just kind of on this early start of the season and the problems and some of the things that are coming about?
Yes, it's still unprecedented territory. And, you know, the league is trying to find a way to get back into some type of regular rhythm as far as travel and a regular kind of, I don't know, schedule for like the fans to see. But it's still unprecedented. And they've made their adjustments with the back-to-backs, playing teams in back-to-back cities and limiting the travel, but you're still seeing problems. And I mean, even like Dallas today, you know, they got 4 people that have tested positive for COVID, and it just puts the league in a tough spot. And it brings back up the question about what they talked about before, which was, do we just have like a couple of like bubble situations that happen where we can protect people, which I still think would be a little bit unsustainable, but at the same time it could help. But again, you would then put, you know, their league up against risk of guys not wanting to play. And you already got guys like Kyrie Irving who are going rogue right now out of out of randomness. Man. And, you know, I'm always on the fringe with him as far as what he's doing. As a player, it's never on the fringe as far as his social commentary and the way he decides to go about things sometimes. I don't have a problem with his opinion. It's just a matter of the way he delivers it. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what it comes down to with him. But you run into problems like that. You run into these issues. And, you know, even with what's going on and what just happened at the Capitol, it puts more pressure on a COVID situation where it's like, hey, you know, which one's more important socially or, you know, amongst us people. But we've all been dealing with this for almost a year now. I mean, it's just been, 10 months of this COVID stuff. And it's still running. It's still causing problems. Who I was really surprised about was the NFL. That they got through a whole season of like, however games they had on their plate and were able to do it. And they're in the playoffs now and not having issues.
Well, I think it's the travel, man, because in the league, they're traveling every day, every other day versus the NFL is one time a week, you know. So these guys are going out into different cities and I'm sure probably getting into seeing the city a little bit, and finding whatever they can. And so I think that it's easier for these guys to contract, to COVID trace, or to get in contact, with somebody who potentially could have it. And it's like the league is a lot more strict too. The NBA is taking 10 to 14 days before they can come back versus the NFL, which is like a week, or they're postponing games to try to push it to Tuesday and Wednesday games. The NBA doesn't really have that kind of grace. What are your thoughts on it, Will?
Yeah, I think we kind of talked about this at the beginning of the season, right? Like the NBA is more susceptible to being shut down than the NFL because they play more often. There's less players involved. And, the time period of them being out, instead of them missing 1 week, they can miss 3, 4, 5 games, So that has a huge impact on the long-term effect of the season. And you want a situation where, you want to push through. You want to just play through it, make it happen, but you also don't want to have a season that's tampered with, You don't want people to look back like, yeah, they won that year, but you know what I mean? Like, we don't want that. So I don't know. I know that they're playing till midseason, and then they're going to figure out the schedule after that. Is kind of what I understand. So hopefully, I think at this point, they're just like, let's get to midseason. And let's figure out what we have to do from there, because there could be bubble situations popping up from there.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, agreed. And it's going to be tough, I think, for them to get through a full season the way that it is right now. Just you're missing marquee players in games, and it's affecting multiple teammates at the same time. So we'll see, man. And hopefully we will be able to, because I think that there's been some good basketball that's been being played. And even with COVID impacting a few teams, we're seeing some teams that we didn't expect to be playing really good basketball, like the Orlando Magic coming in, doing their thing. And then some teams we thought were going to be really good, like the Toronto Raptors, really not playing at a high level.
Terrible.
What are your thoughts on this play, man? And who do you like coming out the gates? Like, who's your sleeper team that you think could go to the finals?
Well, I really think could really do some damage really in the East is Orlando. Like, Orlando is not a matchup that Milwaukee wants or anybody wants. You saw it today. Aaron Gordon massacred Giannis Antetokounmpo at the basket.
Yeah.
He tried to take a charge. He gets massacred. But it's one of those things where you don't see people even go at Giannis, like even attempt to go at him. So you got a guy like Aaron Gordon and then a young nucleus of guys who can score and play. And I like them as a sleeper to just do damage. It kind of remind me of Miami last year a little bit,
right?
Except this year, it's their time. So I think they could make some noise in the East. Boston keeps surprising me just because Jason Tatum is 6'10" now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude is 6'10" now. Came around 6'8". He's 6'10". He's doing the same things, but now it's like he's got like a Kobe package / T-Mac.
Yeah.
He's mixing it up. It's a problem. And it also helps Jaylen Brown because Jalen's like, okay, now I can score like 18, 20 conservatively and not have to put pressure on myself to score 30, 40 points in a game if he's not doing well or if our big guys aren't doing well. So it just balances out that backcourt, and they will make some noise too. So.
No, I like what you said about Orlando, man. Orlando looks good, and I think they're one of those seasoned teams. They've been, you know what I'm saying, they went to the playoffs last year. They went through the bubble last year. So we're going to be looking at Orlando like, man, I think the one thing that really hurt them was losing Fultz out for the year. That was a tough loss for them, man, because he was playing so well too. And so you hate to see a young player like Fultz who is finally hitting his stride.
He just got it back.
Yeah.
But
just got it back.
I really like them, man. I feel like they have a complete team, and the first time in a long time. And it'll be cool to see Orlando back in the playoffs, or at least contending again for a playoff spot, or maybe even making a deep run. What about out west? Who you like out west?
Well, out west, I like LA, the Lakers, the Clippers. I'm just never going to buy it. I'm never going to buy it. I'm never going to buy it. I'm never going to buy it, no matter how good Kawhi is, no matter how good he is. As long as Paul George is on your basketball team, there is potential for disaster to occur. We've pick something, Mama. You've witnessed this season, right? Paul George will go out and have a good game.
Yeah.
Next game, they turn around and lose by 54 points.
Yep.
Who's the culprit? It's him. Yes, I know Kawhi was out with the nose and all that, but it's like you're getting paid over $150 million in upwards of $150+ million to play basketball at a high level, and you allow those things to happen. These are things you just would never see from certain types of stars. That's what separates him from the other stars in the league. You just wouldn't see that happen. It's just one of those things that just doesn't happen against guys like that. Even with Steph this year, Steph took his punch.
Yeah.
He took his punch against Portland, that 36-point loss. He took his punch. He took his punch in the media. People talking about he's done, he's this, he's that. He was like, okay. Proceeds to go out and score 62 points in the next game. Average 37 over the next 5. And he's reminding us very quickly, like, don't forget who I am and what I'm capable of doing by myself. And, what he could do this year is remind us of Allen Iverson. The last time we saw a guy under 6'3" carry a team and do some things. This is the last time we've seen it was Allen Iverson. So Steph always just had Clay or Draymond or somebody else on that back end to help. So to see him this year kind of do some things with a young core, and then that dude Wiseman, man, he's going to be something else.
We're going to find out quick about that Warrior team, man, because they're going to be a problem, man, when they figure it all out. Draymond's back now, so, it's like I think people forget how dominant Draymond is, and I think they look for the triple single or whatever they call it, but they forget about his overall impact on the game. So when you see a team like the Warriors, when you see some of these old pieces start to come back and really make an impact, it's like, I forgot how good he really was.
You forget, and even with like Draymond was talking about Wiseman, was talking about how, like, we have this 19-year-old, like, toy that we've never had in this organization before that I can, like, help and groom and teach him the game. And, now they can get back to the way that they run that offense, which was so potent before, where you spread it out and get Steph moving off ball. You get a high post catch from Draymond, and then you can just throw lobs to Wiseman, or vice versa, where you're getting kickouts to corners and you see the spacing. That's where Wiggins can play well at. That's where Kelly Oubre plays well at. So you see it, where it's like, you see how Steve Kerr is a good coach, how he is actually a good coach outside of having a great team. He can find a way to move these pieces around and do some things. I mean, the way they played against the Clippers the other night, the way they came back and where they played that game, and, it just reminded me of the old Warriors. That was the first time it reminded me of the old Warriors in like 2 years, where it was like they were down, 16, 17, come back, end up holding the lead and winning in a game where it's like, okay, they can still do it.
Man.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about the Warriors and also the Magic as well is you feel like right now in the NBA there's the Lakers and there's everybody else. And the door's kind of open for somebody else to step up and be that second best team.
Yeah.
No one's really, like, solidified that spot. And so there's no reason why the Warriors can't be the second best team in the West right now.
There's really no reason.
Yeah,
and going into the season, you would have thought it would have been very clear, Lakers, Clippers, and everybody else. Yeah. But now it's like, hey, there's some potential.
The door's open.
And then even when you talk about, the bottom of the West and teams in the bottom of the West that thought that, hey, we might be fighting for that 8th spot or whatever, even with Sacramento, it's like, that's a final way to say, when is it going to be time for us to say we're going to win 5-6 straight for once?
And I don't know about Sacramento, man. I love it. We here in the city. I know we're in the city, but I don't know about them.
I don't know, though. And it's like, it's frustrating because you watch it, like, even in the Bulls game, right? You watch the pace. You watch how they play after they had lost 3 straight. You watch how they play, and you're like, why don't you guys just do that every game? Just play at that pace every game, and you would be in every single game. The way you guys played the first 3 games, same thing, where it's like there's no question that you have the talent to play with these guys. You just have to be consistent. And I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if that's who's in the building. I don't know if it's egos. I don't know what it is, but it's something in that locker room that creates inconsistency. And I think his jersey number might start with a 2 and end with a 4, but I don't know. I'm just saying.
Man,
you can't get a tip in. Hey, you can't get a tip in game, win a shot, and then disappear for 9 games.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We can't talk about our buddies here in Sacramento, man. We can't talk about our buddies here in Sacramento, man.
Hey, man, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, it's what's real. And it's what I've been seeing people talk about because it's one of those things that people are just seeing. And, like, I personally don't like it because I'm a big-time fan of his. I was a shooter as a player. I'm a big-time fan of the way he plays the game. But then you get people taking these digs at with the disappearing acts. And if his consistency was there at that level that we've seen, the record might be a little bit different. That's just facts of the matter. So that's what the fan base is. That's what the fan base is seeing. That's why I've been seeing people say in the fan base. And from a basketball perspective, he has all the talent in the world to be so good.
Yeah,
so good.
When you start getting these outside figures coming in there too, man, throwing their words in, man, it starts to become a problem, especially for a young team.
and for a young team, and especially for a player like him, right, who's been accomplished, he's done some things in this league. You know, he's won a 3-point competition. He's done some things in this league to prove his worth and how good he is. But then you get the way the media is coming in with these back-ended comments and these things that really people don't talk about a lot in the locker room, how it affects guys' mental, the way they approach the game and the way that they see media and the way that they approach, you know, what's going on in their particular situation. And, you know, you got to be careful with a player like that because he's so good. And if it doesn't work out here, if he ends up somewhere else at any point and it does, that's one that you look back like, man, did we possibly mismanage what's going on? So from a fan's perspective, who's a big-time fan of his, I just hope that that's not something that we see. But there's potential there for them to be an extremely good team if they just stay consistent. Stay consistent. Man. And I think that's the main thing for all these teams out west. You know, even with Toronto, surprising. You know, they've just been inconsistent. Yeah. Inconsistent. That Washington, too. Man. You know.
It's what made you who you are, right? Just being consistent, consistently putting out stuff, man. I want to talk a little bit about you, too. What do you got going on here, man? What you been up during quarantine? Like, give us a little spiel on what you got going on.
Well, man, quarantine's just been a lot of family time, spending time with my daughter. She's in here currently changing her outfit right now. Spending time with her, spending time with my lady, and just getting a lot of family time in. You know, being able to go back and forth and spend time with her family and seeing mine here in the city, which has been nice. And then, you know, just working on music, meeting new artists, working with new people has been good. And just trying to stay up on stuff, you know, for me as a, you know, just watching sports and watching my favorite Netflix shows like everybody else. You know, for me as a sports fan, it's been a rough year. You know, Falcons were 4-12. We don't have to talk about it. You know, and, you know, it's one of those where it's like, hey, you know, you love the game, you love sports, so you just keep watching it. And even though your team is consistently losing on a weekly basis, you keep tuning in. And it's one thing when your team loses. It's another thing when you guys lose by like 4 points, 6, 3, up 17, lose, up 20, lose. Those things get frustrating, but you keep watching and having fun with it.
That's what sports are here for, man. Keep us in our element, man. And I seen, you know, I heard your daughter in the background, man. Seen the snacks come out. I know you're in your element, but I don't know if you're ready. Are you ready? Are you really in your element right now to drop some bars for us, bro?
I got some bars for you guys, man. Straight up.
You don't, man. Let me hear it. So just talk a little bit about the early season, man. I'll put you on the spot a little bit. Talk a little bit about the early season. 3 topics in there. I want to hear these 3 topics. The Bulls, LeBron, and the bubble.
Bulls, LeBron, and the bubble. All right.
Bulls, LeBron, and the bubble. How many bars you want? Whatever you want.
Here we go. We'll just do a little something. All right. Yeah. All right. Bulls started off 0-3, then won 4-5. Got back on it, G. LeBron James still doing his thing. Year 18, gray hair, still doing his thing. The bubble might have to come into play. Dallas Mavericks lost 4 players this week, man. And plus, the Bulls don't have marketing. That's exactly why we keep losing. As soon as he get back, we're going to get the cruising, That's a fact. And we're going to put the bruising on the league. And we're going to be the surprise, best believe. And I guarantee the Kings going to rise up, too. That's a fact. I got it from my city, represent. That is SAC. That's 916. I put the city up on my back, like held up on my back. That's a 3, and that's cash. And a tip in. I follow up, rebounds. I never give up. I'm always in town.
Hey,
that's what I got.
Yeah, boy, nice one.
Yeah. On the spot, bro.
On the spot, bro. Hey, that's love.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
good stuff,
much love
to
you guys, man. Much love to your platform. I'm proud of what you guys are doing, man. I love to see what you guys are doing, representing the city, representing yourselves, and keep doing your thing, man. I'm always here to tap in and be around. And go Bulls, go Kings, man. And shout out to everybody out there, man. Much love. Stay safe. And everybody have a good rest of the night, man. Real talk.
Man, AT, yes, sir. We appreciate you coming on. As always, hey, appreciate the intro. Appreciate the freestyle on the spot, man.
Hey, man, anytime.
The hoop insight, too, man. Not a lot of Bulls fans can go and just spit that off. Rappers that are Bulls fans can go and spit off the knowledge you have, man. So much love to you. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Anytime, man. Much love, fellas.
Thank you, bro.
Yes, sir. And that does it for another episode of Just Hoop Talk. Be sure to like, subscribe. Make sure you check out AT and his music on YouTube, all streaming platforms. Just Hoop Talk. Another edition in the books. We're out.
Peace.